Can all that texting and social networking by our children affect their behavior in a negative way? Parents are faced with this challenge every day, and a new study by the Case Western Reserve School of Medicine links risky behavior to hypertexting and hypernetworking. Here to discuss this very buzzy topic is sex and relationship therapist Dr. Ian Kerner. Dr. Kerner, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Nice to see you, Tanya.
So tell us a little bit about the study. They looked at, what, 20 different high schools?
20 different high schools, and found that teens that text more than 120 times a day are more likely to engage in sexual behavior, drugs, alcohol. So it was really the linkage between excessive texting and risky behavior. I have talked to parents whose teens text 1,000 times a day. I mean, I think 120 is a lot, but I think it's the low end of excessive, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that means it's just quick little, hey, how you doing, right?
It's here's the thing, it's these quick hits of gratification. And I think the problem is, the teenage brain is really still in a state of cognitive development. It's still in a state of neural development. And I think with all the excessive texting, it is actually helping to wire kids' brains to be addictive, to seek that instant gratification, whether that instant gratification comes through technology or through drugs or through sex. I mean, that's what addiction is really the pursuit of a reward, the pursuit of instant gratification.
So you see this as potentially setting them up for addictive behavior of any kind later on in life.
I do. I mean, I think because most studies show that when somebody is now has an addiction, it's not always to a particular substance, it's the addictive brain. It's the brain that seeks pleasure, that seeks instant gratification, that lacks restraint, and that is constantly getting habituated to one level of gratification and then needs to jump it up.
But let me ask you this, though. You can become addicted to good things such as exercise or sports. I mean, is the answer here to make sure your kids are experiencing a variety of quasi-addictive behaviors?
Absolutely. No, I think part of the thing is that parents need to help kids limit their texting, find other ways of communicating with their friends, other ways of communicating with parents. And I think what this also shows is that any kid who can text 120 times a day or potentially more might need more adult input, more adult supervision, more help really in terms of forming their day and going through their day.
Well, let's talk about the exact behaviors that this was linked to, because that was linked to increased and earlier sexual activity. Is that right?
And a big part of that would have to do with sexting. More and more kids, when they text, they are sending, it could start playfully, but it quickly elevates and it becomes sexually lewd notes. They text photographs, naked photos of each other. I mean, I know kids like to take photos of their genitals and text photos of their genitals. I do a lot of teen sex education in high schools, and you hear a lot about this kind of behavior, and I think it kind of paves the way. I mean, it just, it creates sort of a world in which sex and sexual imagery is very, very commonplace.
So it takes down the barriers, so to speak, of some of this activity.
It does, and it becomes a form of peer pressure. I mean, texting is very intense. So even if it's a behavior, let's say you have a teen who doesn't want to engage in this behavior, but they receive, some sort of sext, or they receive some sort of text that says so-and-so isn't cool, or do you believe so-and-so did that? There is a pressure to respond, and kids really buckle under peer pressure. I see this at all ages. You want to go with the group. You want to go with the flow.
Absolutely. So what is a parent to do? I mean, especially sexting sounds so dangerous and upsetting from a parental perspective. How can you get a handle on that?
Well, I think that parents really need to be more involved, and a lot of teens especially, and not everybody will agree with me, but a lot of teens will sort of cry out, privacy, privacy, you can't look at what I'm texting, you can't look at what I'm emailing. I don't think that privacy is an excuse, especially when you're a teen and you're living with your parent, to hide or to lie. So I think that parents really have to get more involved. The other thing is that parents have to present behaviors in a positive way. I mean, I've been at dinner tables, been at my own dinner table to be honest, where everyone is somewhat engaged with technology. Technology is so present, it's so easy. I think as a family, as a total family, kids and parents, you need to make a decision to put away the technology at a certain point, to engage eye to eye, to communicate. I mean, if your kid needs to have a phone to stay in touch, I mean, maybe you really limit the texting plan and force them to get on the phone and make a call and communicate.
So what is the long-term take in terms of this research. I mean, obviously technology among teenagers in such a massive amount is a relatively new thing.
Yeah.
Where is this all going?
Well, I think what it's showing is that technology really is creating addictive behaviors. I think it's creating that need for instant gratification. I think technology, especially for teens, has become another outlet for peer pressure. And I think, as you just said, we're only at the beginning of starting to really understand the impact of how technology really affects us behaviorally and neurologically.
Right.
So I think we have to be really careful about how we allow technology into our lives and to really create limits.
And as we've heard before, it can be wiring even adults differently. Can you imagine how much more effect it has on teenagers that are still developing?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Our kids seem so big. They seem so independent, especially their teens with their iPhones or their phones, but they're really just young teenagers. And again, studies have really shown that the teen brain is still in a state of neural development and cognitive development, and we have to understand that as parents.
Parents, we have to get in there and do the dirty work, right? Dr. Ian Kerner, thank you so much. For more of the latest medical news, be sure to log on the health page at abcnews.com.